What if I told you that your IQ is not fixed? Most people believe that intelligence is something decided at birth. Either you are born smart, or you will stay average forever. That belief alone causes many people to give up on self-improvement far too early. They assume they are not capable of learning faster, thinking deeper, or becoming more successful. But what's fascinating is that many of the greatest minds in history were once considered unintelligent. Albert Einstein was once described by teachers as mentally slow. Thomas Edison was expelled from school because he was seen as impossible to teach. Charles Darwin was an average student who strongly disliked memorizing lessons. Yet in the end, these people changed the world. So what made the difference? It was not genetics, it was not luck. It was the way they trained their minds every single day. Modern science is gradually proving that intelligence is not a fixed number, but more like a system that can continue to grow and evolve. And perhaps the most dangerous thing is not being born with a low IQ, but believing that your brain is incapable of change. There is something very strange about the modern world today. People are consuming more information than ever before, yet thinking less than ever before. From the moment we wake up, the brain is constantly being pulled in different directions by notifications, short videos, podcasts, social media, and endless streams of content every single day. We always feel like we are learning something new, but in reality, most of the time the brain is simply consuming information passively. And the dangerous part is this: when the mind no longer has space to think on its own, the ability to think deeply slowly begins to disappear. Albert Einstein used to spend hours simply walking and imagining ideas in his head. No phone, no music, no conversations. He asked himself strange questions like, what would happen if I could chase a beam of light? Those quiet moments eventually led to ideas that changed human history. Modern neuroscience also shows that when the brain is not constantly overloaded with input, a system called the default mode network becomes more active, helping improve creativity, reasoning, and the ability to connect ideas together. And perhaps that is why boredom is not always a sign of wasted time. Sometimes it is the moment when intelligence quietly begins to grow. One of the biggest reasons many people feel like they study endlessly without becoming smarter is because they search for answers too quickly. The moment they face a difficult problem, they immediately open Google, watch tutorials, or ask AI for the solution. It feels productive, but in reality, the brain barely has to work at all. People with exceptional thinking skills often do the opposite. They try to solve the problem themselves before asking for help. Psychologists call this productive struggle, the kind of struggle that helps the brain grow stronger. When the mind is forced to remember, connect information, experiment, fail, and try again, neural pathways become far more active than when simply reading ready-made answers. Benjamin Franklin used to train his mind by reading an article, putting it away, and then rewriting it entirely from memory. He forced his brain to recreate ideas instead of copying them passively. And it was precisely that uncomfortable process that helped strengthen his intelligence over time. Perhaps that is why the feeling of not understanding immediately is not a sign that you are unintelligent, but sometimes a sign that your brain is slowly becoming stronger little by little. If you have ever felt like you learn slowly or struggle to focus, leave a comment below. I can still change my brain. Most people take notes simply to store information. But many of the greatest minds in history used writing as a tool to think more deeply. Leonardo da Vinci almost always carried a notebook with him. But what makes it fascinating is that he did not just write down knowledge. He filled pages with strange questions, unfinished ideas, unusual sketches, and even thoughts that contradicted each other. His notebooks did not look like ordinary study notes. They looked like a mind actively thinking in real time. And perhaps that is the biggest difference. When you write, The brain is forced to slow down and turn vague thoughts into something clearer and more organized. You begin to realize what you truly understand and what only feels like understanding on the surface. Modern studies also show that handwriting can improve deep comprehension and memory far more effectively than simply reading or constantly typing on a keyboard. And perhaps that is why so many people today consume endless amounts of information yet still feel mentally overwhelmed, because they have never truly sat down and observed their own thoughts. There is one fascinating trait shared by highly intelligent people. They rarely limit themselves to understanding just one field. Instead, they constantly look for ways to connect different ways of thinking together. A physicist may study psychology, an entrepreneur may read philosophy, an artist may explore neuroscience. And it is precisely these connections that make the brain far more flexible and creative. Investor Charlie Munger called this a latticework of mental models, a network of different thinking frameworks. Physics teaches you about cause and effect. Biology teaches adaptation and evolution. Psychology helps you understand human emotions and biases. Economics reveals the hidden incentives behind human behavior. When the brain learns to examine a problem from multiple perspectives, its reasoning ability becomes significantly stronger. That is why people like Leonardo da Vinci and Aristotle were so far ahead of their time. They did not simply collect knowledge, they connected knowledge. And perhaps true intelligence is not about how much information you know, but about your ability to recognize patterns and relationships that most people never even notice. Many people believe that having a great memory is something you are simply born with. Either you have a genius brain, or you will spend your whole life forgetting things. But throughout history, the greatest minds never viewed memory as a natural gift. They treated it as a skill that needed to be trained every single day. Nikola Tesla was known for being able to visualize entire machines inside his mind, rotate them from different angles, and examine every detail without even touching a real blueprint. Ancient scholars also trained their memory with incredible discipline because they understood that the stronger the memory became, the faster and sharper their reasoning abilities would be. Modern science now shows that techniques such as active recall, spaced repetition, and visualization do far more than simply help people remember information longer. They actually strengthen and reorganize neural connections inside the brain. In other words, when you train your memory correctly, you are not just improving recall, you are improving the overall performance of your mind itself. Perhaps the problem is not that your brain lacks intelligence, but that you have never truly trained it the right way. If you want to build a stronger mind every single day, comment "Train your mind" below. And don't forget to like the video to keep exploring more secrets about psychology, intelligence, and the human brain in the videos ahead. There is one truth that very few people truly realize. The brain does not perform at its best through constant work, but through proper recovery. Today, many people take pride in always being busy. They sleep less, live under constant stress, and keep their minds endlessly stimulated by screens, work, and social media. But the dangerous part is that when the brain never has time to recover, its ability to focus, remember, and reason slowly begins to decline. Charles Darwin, one of the greatest minds in history, actually spent only around 4 to 5 hours a day doing deep work. The rest of his time was dedicated to walking, resting, and reflecting. Modern neuroscience also shows that sleep deprivation, chronic stress, and overstimulation can weaken executive function, one of the most important systems connected to IQ, self-control, and decision-making ability. And perhaps that is why boredom is not always a sign of laziness. Sometimes, it is the moment when the brain is quietly rebuilding itself. A deep night of sleep, sunlight, daily movement, or even a few minutes of silence do not slow you down. They sharpen your mind in ways most people never notice. In the end, perhaps the most fascinating thing about intelligence is not who was born smarter than others, but the fact that the human brain is truly capable of changing throughout an entire lifetime. Many people spend years limiting themselves simply because they believe they are not good enough. But history shows that the greatest minds never became extraordinary through natural talent alone. They built systems that allowed their brains to grow over time. They spent time thinking deeply instead of constantly consuming information. They accepted the discomfort of struggling through problems on their own. They wrote in order to better understand their own thoughts. They learned from many different fields to create new connections between ideas. And perhaps most importantly, they understood that a powerful mind also needs proper rest and recovery. That is why true intelligence may not be about how much knowledge you possess, but about how you train your mind every single day. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It is more like a living system that constantly changes based on the habits you repeat again and again. And perhaps one small habit starting today could completely transform the way you think in the future. If you enjoy content about psychology, intelligence, and mental growth like this, don't forget to follow the channel and join us as we continue exploring more fascinating secrets of the human mind in the videos ahead.